I wanted to wait till the end of the week before I started talking about E3 because there are always other reveals and extended demos after the press conferences, and I wanted to absorb it all before talking about it. So here's how I want to do this video. I will briefly talk about the press conferences, but really this video's runtime will be dedicated on the games that I personally found interesting. So press conferences, here we go. EA's conference was geared toward investors, not gamers. Microsoft was great as it showed game after game with plenty of new reveals and new looks at some great exclusives. Bethesda was a little slow but had some big hit moments, especially with its finale in the form of Fallout 76. Square Enix was a waste of time save for the look at the new Tomb Raider game. Ubisoft was okay, but it didn't show anything that truly wowed me and then didn't reveal anything new like, oh, I don't know, the next Splinter Cell game? Sony, to their credit, tried something new. The games that they did show knocked it out of the park, but its garbage format and little amount of content meant that it took a risk and then fell right on their faces with it.
Don't come here expecting to have some big flashy new idea come out or some big surprise come out.
You f***ing idiot!
Nintendo was pretty meh. It heavily leaned on the Treehouse stream, so it was boring, Smash Brothers for a year and a half, and then Treehouse. And that's it for the press conferences. So let's talk about games. You know, the thing that we all watch E3 for. Now, I can't get into every game at E3, otherwise we'll be here forever. I've chosen a few that I want to highlight. We got exactly what I figured we'd get from the new Halo game, Halo Infinite. Now, there's not much to talk about here as it was just a teaser, but it did show that Master Chief is once again on a Halo ring, which might end up being the same Halo ring that is teased at the end of Halo 5. We also see at the end of this teaser that Chief is putting an AI chip into his helmet. Is it Cortana? Is it a new AI? There are so many questions, but I'm glad that they at least showed this. If I don't play as Master Chief for the entirety of this game, I'm going to lose it. Another reveal that was very similar to Halo Infinite was the reveal of Elder Scrolls 6, where the only real thing to pull from is the imagery. From the green mountainous regions, one can guess that the next big Elder Scrolls game will take place in the region of High Rock. For those that don't know, High Rock is located here on a map of Tamriel. Skyrim is here, Cyrodiil, where Oblivion is set, is here, and Morrowind is here. It's also the native land to the human race known as the Britons, and also where Daggerfell is located, which was the title for Elder Scrolls 2. But a timeline and plot are completely up in the air, and we probably are not going to hear about that stuff for quite a while. I was actually surprised that they showed this much. Staying on the topic of Bethesda, I was really happy to hear about Bethesda Game Studios working on their first original IP, Starfield. Now, all we got was the teaser for the game, but it confirms that it will take place in space and will be developed by Todd Howard's team. So if Todd Howard's team make Fallout and Elder Scrolls, picture that approach to gaming, but in space. Yeah, that's pretty f***ing exciting, even if it is a way off. And of course, there was the much anticipated look at Fallout 76, which we got a ton of information on. Now, this is a different kind of Fallout game as it is finally featuring online multiplayer. Now, at first, that's pretty exciting, but the more I think about it, as a player that typically prefers to lone wolf it, I'm always worried about being forced to play with other people. Well, to say the game forces you into playing with other people is a bit much. You can solo it if you want, but you still are going to have to run into other players. They just won't be running with you. So since the game is about a character coming out of Vault 76, you are one of the first people to see the world after the Great War, so any human character you see is going to be player controlled. There are still NPCs in the game as far as robots and I assume ghouls, but if they're human, they're another player. The game takes place in the hilly areas of West Virginia where there will be lots of new creatures and monsters to fight, but is also apparently 4 times bigger than Fallout 4. Now, this is a new type of Fallout. It's still Fallout, and the developers stress that they want this game to feel like a Fallout game, so the questing feels the same. The way you traverse and the things that you see are like other Fallout games. That's while no longer pausing or slowing down time is still in the game. Base building is back, but a little smaller than the settlement building in Fallout 4. I'm intrigued and I'm going to give this game a shot. I had a lot of fun with Sea of Thieves being a fully online game and have had incredible experiences in the game when it comes to other players, so I assume that this game might have a similar outcome. So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out. Now let's talk about Anthem, as it was one of the things that I was looking forward to at this year's E3. We learned that the story and typical BioWare choice making will be in the game and will have an effect on each player's hub city, but not affect the bigger world. We also learned that there is no rolling of one class and being stuck with that class. You can switch out between the different power suits or javelins and level them up each individually, while your pilot can also level up and bring those skills across all of the suits. However, the game does seem to be heavily pushing the social gameplay, which again, I'm usually a lone wolf. The gameplay looks cool as the characters fly around the area, but I don't know. I guess this game lacks that wow factor. There was nothing really memorable about the demo. I liked what I was hearing, but I guess I need to see more. Another game that will apparently feature some heavy choice making is Dying Light 2, which I am so happy is a thing. While it had some rather decent reviews, the first Dying Light was a game that I loved and even placed in my personal number 8 best game of 2015. It seems that with this game, we are getting everything that I loved about the first game, such as the traversing of the field, as well as the day-night cycle with the zombies, but we're also getting this more in-depth choice making. It's not so much kill or not kill this character and reshape an ending, but a choice will affect the world, and every choice will have a benefit or disadvantage. So as I play the game, I'll be creating new challenges that maybe other players won't have to deal with. Now, I might be giving it more credit than it probably deserves, but still, I loved what I was hearing all the same. Now, I want to talk about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. This game is interesting because it's not so much about assassins as much as it is about the first civilization. For the uninitiated, in the AC universe, there was once a highly advanced civilization that got wiped out. And then throughout the series, the Assassins and Templars typically fight over the relics left over from that civilization, known as the Pieces of Eden. All that aside, this game looks pretty interesting. Not only can you choose to be a male or female protagonist, the game features a lot of naval gameplay like with Black Flag. Although personally I think Black Flag's execution of the naval stuff was better, but something else that interested me was this inclusion of conquest battles, which are large battles featuring 300 combatants, so 150 versus 150. In this battle, you are tasked with completing certain tasks and eliminating certain enemies, all to attain victory. This game looks interesting enough for me to take a look, but like with the Call of Duty series, I've been pretty burned out with the Assassin's Creed franchise. I never got around to playing Origins, although I might go back and take a look after seeing all of this stuff. Ancient Greece has always been an interest of mine, so I might end up checking it out regardless. I honestly didn't expect to get as much as we got for Kingdom Hearts 3. Frozen was revealed as a new world, we got better looks at worlds like Tangled and Pirates of the Caribbean, which looks super cool. I mean, Kingdom Hearts is really going to incorporate that naval gameplay stuff. I mean, that's awesome. It's been a long time since I've played Kingdom Hearts 2, so I'm probably going to need a refresher of the story going into 3, but some of my fondest gaming memories come from the Kingdom Hearts series, and getting back into that world and seeing things like Toy Story and Pirates and so much more, I am super ready for this game. Let's just hope that it doesn't get delayed because we've waited long enough. Going back to the Xbox exclusives, I was super happy when I saw Gears 5, and I straight up loved the way it was revealed. They did this bait and switch with announcing Gears Pop and then Gears Tactics, which made the viewers think, well crap, I guess this is all the Gears stuff we're going to get this year. And then the developers were like, no, we actually do have Gears 5. So they showed a cutscene where the characters address Kate's Locust necklace that was teased at the end of the last game. JD looks very different than the last time we saw him. He's more, I guess, grittier, but his arm's got this thing going on with it. Like, what is that about? This all led to a look at the gameplay, which looks very Gears, but even horror-esque at times. I cannot wait to see more, and considering how much they're pushing Kate's heritage, I'm glad to see she's going to be a playable character. I love that the Resident Evil 2 remake is happening. I never had the privilege of playing Resident Evil 2 because I was a little bitch when I was a kid, and I can appreciate that the game is being rebuilt from the ground up and the animations aren't half bad. I know the market tends to get oversaturated with zombie games. I mean, this year alone, there's Telltale's The Walking Dead, Overkill's Walking Dead, Dying Light 2, The Last of Us Part 2, Days Gone, Black Ops 4, and State of Decay 2 released not that long ago. Here's the thing, I'm kind of a sucker for zombie games, and seeing Resident Evil survival horror at its best is awesome, especially since the game ditches the original's fixed camera view for a more typical third-person view with these crazy dark corridors. The demo was super claustrophobic, and I love it. Again, I never played the original myself. I mean, I know what happened story-wise, but this remake will likely make the levels feel brand new. I 110% am on board to dive headfirst into this remake when it comes out, and I'm not going to change the brightness settings like a bitch. So, I don't own a PlayStation 4. In fact, I never owned a PS3, and yet, I have never been more jealous than when I saw the demo for The Last of Us Part 2. When I was watching it, I was floored. It looks so good. It almost looks too good, like scripted. I thought the same thing with the first Last of Us reveal, and that game was more or less pretty accurate. Even still, seeing the demo for this game, it's mind-blowing. And I want to say that the game won't end up looking that good, but then at the same time, it might. Just the way the characters move, the way the AI reacts to your character, how smooth the animations are. The demo was a great representation of that world. It is a zombie game, yes, but it is so much more than just a zombie game. It's an emotional story while also being incredibly brutal. It's clear from this demo that Ellie will be more highlighted than Joel, but I wouldn't be surprised if you do end up playing as both throughout the game. We'll have to wait and see, but to all of you PlayStation gamers, I'm pretty jealous. Now, there are a bunch of other games that I want to talk about, so to save time, I'll run through them pretty quickly. Shadow of the Tomb Raider had a cool enough demo that got my interest. I loved the 2013 reboot and was indifferent about Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'm not saying it was a bad game, but I feel like it was just a lot of the same. That being said, this demo did show off a couple of new mechanics and style of gameplay, so I'll probably check it out when it releases. Jedi Fallen Order deserved a much better reveal than it got. I mean, how hard could it have been to take a logo and make a teaser out of it? I mean, watch this.
Execute Order 66.
And that took me maybe 3 minutes to make. Still, I am excited for this game. Playing as a Jedi that survived Order 66 that now has to deal with the Empire hunting them, that sounds pretty awesome. I absolutely love the recent Doom, and I can't wait to play this new game, especially since it's bringing hell to earth. Sign me up. I also really enjoyed my run with the first Division, although I never finished it. I like what I'm seeing with this new one, as the game is hoping to make enemies seem less like bullet sponges and fixing a lot of the other problems that the first game had. And while the developers danced around the talk of another Dark Zone, they did say it was coming back without actually saying it. I found that part and style of gameplay to be my favorite with the last game, and I expect it to return for the sequel, or at least some incarnation of it. Now, speaking of games that make me jealous of PS4 players, I hate that they get a Spider-Man game and I don't. That game looks so smooth and fun to play. With that and Last of Us 2, I might need to consider getting myself a PlayStation 4. Battlefield 5, not V. I thought since it was World War II that it was like V for victory. I know how Roman numerals work, unlike Black Ops 4. The game looks like Battlefield. There's not much to say about it. It's adding more destruction, movable stuff, and building, which is kind of neat. Also, the game will have a Battle Royale mode, but not at launch. I'm not opposed to that. But if you are, and you're mad about more modes in a game, then you better not ever complain about a game having too little content. If you don't like it, you don't have to play it. It's that simple. Days Gone didn't really get highlighted like with previous years, and I can't help but notice that this game looks a lot more sluggish and buggy than previous showings. It didn't look that spectacular this year. Ghost of Tsushima was another highlight from Sony's conference, and it looks super pretty, but honestly, I'm gonna want to see more. I don't have a PS4, but if I did, I can't say that I'd be 100% sold on it just yet. I am excited to see more of Cyberpunk 2077, especially since it's being developed by CD Projekt Red, which made one of the best games of the current generation with The Witcher 3. So a new world with that style of gameplay is something I am super interested in, but we still haven't seen any gameplay. You can get my attention with a CGI trailer, but you're not going to sell me on a game unless I see gameplay. Until then, I'll keep a close eye on it, but I'm sure it's going to be great either way. I'm glad we got more information on Death Stranding and now have a better idea of what that game is. What is this? Black Ops 4 showed off more of its multiplayer and nothing about the Blackout mode. Really? You're gonna barely show up at E3 to talk about the thing that I believe most people would be interested in? Granted, it had a big reveal event a few weeks ago, but I figured it would have at least talked about it in some fashion, give us some detail, show some sort of demo. Also, there was no Fable 4 announcement. They did hint that the newly acquired Playground Games was working on a new open world project, which is totally a new Fable, but I was so sad that they didn't even use that to transition into a tease just to reassure fans that the franchise is alive and well despite the closing of Lionhead Studios. There was no announcement of Rocksteady's Superman game, which I was a little sad about, but it was also my shot in the dark for the event. I still think it's happening. I'm just a little bummed that it wasn't revealed just yet. Red Dead Redemption 2 was also absent from the festivities, but as I said in my last video, Rockstar and its games walk to the beat of their own drum. They don't always appear at E3, even with big upcoming releases. Them not being there isn't surprising. I think that's it. There's a lot of information that comes out of E3 and so much to absorb before making a video. I like to take my time with this stuff, but what was your favorite part of E3? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.